Hi, I'm Farmer Jess. Today I'm going to show you how to set up a brooder. One of the most common questions that I get asked is how to raise day-old baby chickens from your own backyard. I want to raise them with my family. What do I need? How do I set it all up? What do I use as a heat source? Well, today I'm going to show you a simple way you can set up a brooder and get started on your journey to raising baby chickens. To successfully raise baby chickens in your backyard, it comes down to 4 simple factors. Number 1, the chickens. Of course, quality chickens from a reputable supplier, they'll always go the best. Number 2 is the food. You can buy a commercially made chick starter from a pet shop or from your local produce store that will have everything that your chickens need to get them up and going. Number 3 is water. Making sure that your chickens have fresh, clean water and changing it daily, especially in those first 7 days, is really key to making sure that your birds will grow up healthy and strong. Number 4 is the environment. Making sure that they got nice, fresh air to breathe, just like you and me. It's just as important, and of course, making sure they have the correct heat. Now it's time to set up the brooder. The first thing we're going to need is somewhere for the chickens to be housed. One question I get asked quite a lot is, can I use a cardboard box? Is that suitable to raise my chickens? Well, you can raise them in it, but as you know, cardboard gets wet, it gets soggy, and that mixed with chicken manure and their mess, that's going to get pretty stinky. So I wouldn't recommend it. But I would recommend something that's washable, like plastic. So here I have a plastic tub, $10 from the reject shop. Something like that, or one of those storage tubs is perfect. But plastic is great because it's washable. The next thing I would recommend is a cover that's breathable. It's going to let the air through. So this is what I would use on that sort of, that container. So it's folded over on the edge, nice big holes. You could use fly screen, although I wouldn't recommend it because it can get quite dusty. Something with bigger holes like that mesh is perfect. So today I'm not going to set that container up, but I'm going to set this container up behind me. I use this container quite a lot. It was purpose built for chickens, but there's no need to have something like that if you're not brooding quite often. I brood all the time, so something like that is good. I only use that for my smaller batches actually. I've got bigger ones for my other ones, but something that's washable, maybe something that you even have around the house would be perfect. Something you could reuse for another purpose if you're only going to do it once. All right, so we have our container. The next step is to top it up with something for the chickens to sit on. So a nice bedding. The best sort of bedding is, it's nice, it's an absorbent, it stops the smells and moisture from getting through to the bottom, and something that's not too slippery. You can use paper, but I prefer something that's not too slippery. So my favorite thing to use is pine shavings. It's readily available from produce stores or pet shops. So here's some pine shavings here. I like to use about 5 to 10 centimeters on the base of the container to make sure there's plenty of matter there, so it'll absorb those smells and that mess and that moisture that the chickens are going to make. So my bedding's in. All right. The next thing, with our bedding, we want to make sure it's nice and even. We don't want the chickens traveling up and down hills. We want to make sure it's nice and even. That will also allow that heat to be nice and evenly distributed. So nice flat. I sometimes like push it down as well. So now that we have our container and our bedding in it, it's time to add some heat. Today I'm going to use the EcoGlow 20 brooder. This is made by Brincy. There are plenty of other brands out there that offer a very similar product. I know Greatlander has a very similar one. You could use a desk lamp with an incandescent globe, about 100 watts or the halogen equivalent, or a ceramic lamp. You can get them from like Pet Barn or like your produce store. So this one This brooder only uses 60 watts and it's safer than those other lights. This heats up. It's a heat pad. It heats up, sits like this. The chickens sit underneath it. They can easily come in and out like they would a mother hen. Once they get older, they do tend to get on top, but as you can see, this one's pretty clean and I have used it plenty of times, so it's very easy to clean, which is great for being around chickens. When I put the heat source in the container, I like to put it up one end of the container. So this is this is to put the heat up one end. That means the chickens can get away from it if they need to. So this is especially important with like your ceramic heat globes. It means that they can get away from it, so the hot's there. If they get too hot, they can get to the other end of that brooder and they can sort of regulate their heat, which stops issues with overheating. We now have our environment. We have our container that is protected from predators with nice bedding, a heat source that'll keep the chicks nice and warm. It also has really good ventilation and plenty of airflow for those chickens. So the next step is feed. Now, chicken feed is pretty easy. All you have to do is head to your local pet shop or produce store and pick up some chick starter. So chick starter, it's a small crumble. It's very easy for the chickens to peck and eat because of that beautiful size. It has all the nutrition that your birds need. It's already formulated. Chick starter, it's also medicated. So it's not something to worry about, oh my God, it's got drugs or antibiotics. It's nothing like that. Like, it's nothing to worry about. It's a medication that helps a disease called coccidiosis. So that's brought in by birds. It's naturally in older birds. And this medication sort of slows down the progress but allows your birds to build immunity at the same time. So you'll need somewhere to keep that feed also. I love these little feeders. They're easy to clean. 1.5 kilos goes in this one. Very cheap, around $10, $15. This is great for probably about half a dozen chickens, maybe even 10 or so. You need to watch, when you use these, just watch the lip height with the size of your babies. These ones are great for any size babies. If I have a lot of chickens, I use 8 kilo ones and the lip height is doubled. So I worry about my little B&Ms just being able to access that feed. So what I do is I just, I have it overflowing on the outside so they can access it for a couple of days until they really get up and strong and they can easily jump into it. But you also need to make sure that you have that feed there all the time. So it means that they can get in and get it whenever they want. At this time in their life, you want to make sure that they can find feed easily and eat plenty of it because they're growing super fast and they need feed to grow into healthy, happy babies. So we'll fill this feeder up, and when we do that, we're going to put it on the opposite end of the brooder to the heat source. So when placing food in the brooder, for day-old chicks especially, I like to sprinkle it everywhere. This is so they can't miss it. When they're young, they just they get in their brooder and they're pecking around everywhere. So if you sprinkle it everywhere, it makes sure that they're more likely to get that. They're not going to miss that feed. And then once they got a taste for it, they'll be like, oh, where's my feed? And then they go searching for it. So that's the environment and that's the feed. Now it's time for water. Yes, you can use a bowl, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it. They get in there, they make a mess, they get themselves wet and cold. Getting a proper drinker for chicks is the way to go. This one is pretty common, great for about 6 chicks. It goes up this way. Great for about 6 chicks. Nice little lip height there. It's called a ball drinker or a pedestal drinker. So there are plenty of drinkers out there, but this one is probably the most common that is used. And I do love it for a small amount of chickens. I have a bigger one, again, because I usually have more chickens. So it's just like a bucket. I take that off. This is like a bucket. You fill it up with water and then put the lid on. That acts like a lid. Make sure it clicks down. And then you turn it over like this. And then, so this part here acts as a reservoir. And then the water comes down, there's little holes, and it will fill up this lip here. So it allows the chickens to have plenty of fresh water throughout the day. With water, I do like to change it at least once daily. I usually just do mine first thing in the morning. The water can heat up, especially in those environments that are really warm with the incandescent or the ceramic. So it can get warm, and you know what loves warm water? Bacteria and fungi, and it gets slimy and gross. You don't want that. So change it every day. You can also use a little bit of apple cider vinegar. That'll help keep away that sliminess, and it will help them have nice, healthy tummies also. So I'm going to flip the camera around to show you exactly how I've set the brooder up, and this will help you get a better view of what I've done in this brooder. Okay, so here we are. This is our brooder here. You can see there's plenty of feed that's sprinkled around everywhere. So even if they're under here under the brooder, they can peck at some feed, and then eventually they'll just go and find it over here. This is our drinker. So nice full, nice clean, cool water, ready to go. So that's the basics of it. You just need chickens, and then you've got your food, water, environment, and chickens. There you go, easy as. Okay, so we are almost done. We have a container with bedding in it and a heat source, feed that's sprinkled throughout the brooder, and water. The next step is to turn our heat source on and let it heat up before we place our chickens in the brooder. So doing this makes sure that the chickens come out of a nice warm incubator and they go into a nice warm brooder. We don't want them getting cold. There you have it. Hopefully that has helped you know a little bit more about how to set a brooder up and how to raise chickens in your backyard, or at least give you the confidence to maybe have a go. If you'd like to learn even more about raising chickens, you can head to my website farmerjess.com.au and download the ebook, How to Raise Backyard Chickens. Good luck on your chicken journey. I hope to see you raising heaps of baby chickens. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.